feet. I get it.
You're excited to be here.
I totally am. I think Nicole Kidman has an amazing sense of humor. I will say
We're
this.
back.
I really like her.
Travel advice for anyone visiting Sydney, Australia.
Bring your sunscreen and your joie de vivre.
What's the best thing about Nashville?
The community spirit, so the people.
No, it's not the people. Getting back to what I was saying, you go to Rome, what's the most... Yeah, Italians are amazing. But also, like, the Colosseum, ancient Rome, the catacombs, the food. We gotta think of something else. People are gonna be fine and bad everywhere you go. Except for Paris.
They say the most American thing in an American accent.
Her accent is so good when she speaks with an American accent. Like, phenomenal.
Hey, y'all.
Why is she pretending that she's an Academy Award-winning actress? I think she's won an Emmy and a Golden Globe. Maybe just a Tony for fun. What awards has she won, Chris? Because she has spoke with an American accent in like 99% of the movies she's done. And she thought the most American accent she can do was, hey, y'all. Nicole, this is what I'm saying. She's someone who's fun, but is trapped in actors. Like, the Dark Phoenix took over Jean Grey. Like, I know Jean is still inside, but we're seeing the Dark Phoenix. All actors are Dark Phoenixes.
She's won Best Actress.
Yes.
She's won 2 Emmys.
Yes.
And a bunch of others.
There you go.
I didn't know you played pool.
Yeah, my nickname is Pool Shark.
Are you claiming that you're a pro?
Well, come on, I'm a pool shark.
I really like her. Also, she runs my trainer, Damon, who's Australian. You know, it's so fun to work out with an Australian trainer.
What talent do you wish you had?
Sing opera exclusively.
Because she sings opera standardly. I'm gonna say this too. Like, I think Moulin Rouge is a good movie, but I hate watching actors who can't sing in movies and do an okay job. I really fudge on that because singing, like La La Land, the singing was abysmal. Moulin Rouge, either her or Obi-Wan Kenobi can sing. There's a lot of help, you know what I mean? And I hate feeling like I'm struggling with them. Like, Burlesque is the best. It's bad. ChatGPT wrote it. Cher showed up for the paycheck. Stanley Tucci walked off the set of Delaware product and onto the set of Burlesque. I mean, Cher was like, you know, when you're doing your makeup, it's like pink. You know, it's just, it is what it is. Like Christina Aguilera, she's an extremely talented singer. She's never looked better. She is not likable. There, I said it. But at least when you watch it, a shitty movie like that, Cher can sing, Christina can sing, they can sing. So when I watch it, even though I'm surrounded by a shitty movie, I remember I saw Glitter for the first time, whatever it is. I remember when I saw Glitter for the first time, I watched it with my cousin Brian and my mom, because we always loved watching bad movies and making fun of it. Well, yeah, the movie sucks, but I remember at the end she was singing Never Too Far, and even for singing Never Too Far, the three of us are sitting in silence because we're like, God damn it, that's a good voice. Like, it's like a gift from God. So, you know, I'm just, I forgot Nicole Kidman did all these books. Did she read any of them?
Favorite band of all time?
Well, it's a tie. Akanaka and NXS.
What do you love?
I love Third Eye Blind. Band. Like a 90s thing, like a band. I love Third Eye Blind.
Think about country music.
I love it.
Were you a fan of Kiss before you met?
Well,
If my Aunt Cindy were there and heard her go, well, my Aunt Cindy with glazed eyes over would have said, okay, then you weren't. Just say you were not a fan of his and let's just get to the truth. Because now she's caught off guard. She wasn't a fan of his, and now she's thinking about how to make up for the fact that she knew about him.
know him, so I couldn't really be a fan, but now I'm his biggest fan.
Can you do an impression of someone?
Sure.
Oh yeah, I went to Fluffy's comedy show last year, and I got the sweatshirt with my baby. He was so funny.
Do they rehearse this? They have to. There's blocking involved.
Gabriel Iglesias.
Can you do another impression of someone else?
I think that's really good. I also
Okay.
But I don't know how he talks to like him, like. The fucking little quacker. Should I text Damon and be like, who is little quacker?
Can you please take this postcard?
Yes.
And write
I'm
down
thinking of Donald Duck right now.
to someone special.
What secret to someone special you would write? I'd write to Nick I never liked.
Still have from your childhood.
My curiosity.
Who's your favorite?
What?
No, this is the same as when Liza Minnelli was interviewed, and they said she was.
When I was a child, other kids collected stamps from cars. I collected lyrics.
It's a Sesame Street character.
Oh, yes. My phone is dying a little bit.
Like having your face on the national symbol of Australia.
Pretty cool.
Was kind of strange, having everybody lick me.
I can imagine.
In Hollywood, I don't think. Well, she's not that thing for her. See what I'm saying? She does seem very classy.
Least favorite color.
Probably bright orange.
She's on our shit list. Chris and I famously love the color orange. That is my favorite color. Why don't people like orange? I don't know. And why are we talking more about how purple's a shitty color? Blue, it has to be like a pastel blue, like Robin's egg blue, but like ultramarine blue, phthalo blue. These are pink colors. I don't like purple. There, I said it. I just don't love purple. I find it to be a dead color.
Diamonds and pearls.
Wow, diamonds are a guy's best friend.
That's her Moulin Rouge. Did you notice that that was her Moulin Rouge?
What's the coolest thing about this home?
My 6 alpacas.
What's your spirit animal?
An otter.
Do you think they have the cue card behind him with her answers? Do you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't remember. Should we ask? Can you go through 73 questions and ask me those questions? Because I'd like to answer some of them.
What would it be?
A scientist who was able to cure something very important.
Hold on, we're gonna back up here. He said it
Don't fall, guys.
between acting or something else. She said a scientist that cures something that's really important. Well, isn't that an easy thing to just say you'd like to do? So instead, I chose acting in Hollywood. But I would have really liked to be a scientist curing something important. I know what she needs. She's got a good heart. I believe it. I'm sure she gives away millions to charity. She's a good woman. You know. But come on.
Who was able to cure something very important. To cure cancer.
She's sitting in her $8 billion home with her $750,000 piano behind her, with a fireplace that's never been used.
Yeah, what superpower, what would it be?
To fly. And if they were really thinking, they'd say telekinesis because you can lift yourself up and move other things. You would always feel safe there.
What's the best part about being a mom?
Oh, everything.
Not being married to Tom Cruise anymore. That's what she wants to say.
Purpose.
What's the hardest part about being a mom?
Knowing I won't be here forever, so I won't always be able to take care of them.
That got dark. That was like my nonna. My goddaughter, Evie, who's now going into college soon. Her name is Evie. Hi, Evie. When she was born, so this is what, 20 years ago? Or 18 years ago? My nonna in the hospital was so Italian. Not Italian. Maybe Latinos will understand this as well, but specifically Italians. My nonna started crying. I was like, why are you crying? She goes, I won't be alive to see her walk down the aisle. I was like, Nonna, she was just born. Not to mention the fact that my grandparents were still alive. They're almost 90. They won't die. I tell my grandparents all, I say to their faces, I said, you know what? I know that has the air conditioning on in January. She just leaves it on. I said, you two cryogenically frozen yourselves. Also, I told my nonna, I go, if you die, we won't know. We'll just think you're sleeping. You'll be so preserved.
What's your favorite curse word?
What's your favorite curse word? Fuck. Yeah, fuck is fine.
What movie role you would die to play?
The Wicked Witch of the West in a remake of The Wizard of Oz.
I'm only saying it because I'm one of the most beautiful women in the entire world, and I don't know if I want any of this. I'm a beautiful model, and I'm about 6 feet tall, but you know what? In theory, I'd like to play an ugly woman.
Being in film school with the
I love this house, by the way. Love the house.
Your life for a song, what would the title be?
I Will Survive.
If you had to pick a song to be your life, what title would it be? Mine would probably be like Sometimes by Britney Spears. That really is my life story.
Who's an historical figure you love to have coffee with?
Eleanor Roosevelt.
No. This is not who I want to have coffee with. Eleanor Roosevelt, a fine lady. Queen Elizabeth. Like the third or whatever, the first. I want to see the lead paint ripping off her skin. She's so... Yeah, she put white paint over and over and over, but it had lead in it. It was making her skin decay, and then it was causing her baldness, and then like craziness, and then she stayed alive till like 70.
What is your favorite food?
Homemade warm bread with Reggiano.
I think she meant Parmigiano Reggiano, but Reggiano means region. So Parmigiano Reggiano is saying the region of Parma. So this Parmesan is specifically from this region, specifically in a small part of that region, because there's a bacteria that is in the soil that when the cows eat it develops in their stomach to create the specific milk they need for the cheese to be Parmesan, real Parmigiano Reggiano. And then they have it stamped, and they've made a law because of the billion-dollar industry that is trying to make fake Parmesan cheese. So now in Oregon State, if you see something that says Parmesan cheese, it is not real, because Parmesan cheese, no one's allowed to say Parmigiano Reggiano unless it's from the actual stamped approval, government approved Parmesan cheese. So everything that says Parmesan cheese, no matter where it comes from, even if it's imported from Italy, is not Parmigiano Reggiano. Let's just see the stamp. Where am I?
What do you love on your pizza?
Truffles.
Truffles. What's inside the Nicole Kidman cocktail?
I don't really like cocktails.
I do. I don't drink,
Blah,
but
blah,
when
blah,
I go on
blah.
vacation, I'll have a drink. Oh, a spicy
So my
margarita
Christmas
with
Rick and
tahini
Morty
on the rim.
socks.
That's my number one. Or like an Aperol spritz because I'm like a white lady.
What's the
I
biggest
gotta say, I know I'm making fun of her, but she really does seem like a nice lady. Just down to her. She does seem like a good mom.
You need
She
to
really is
keep a couple
self-reflective.
t-shirts up here.
I like her.
I do use t-shirts to dry my hair because they're nice, because they're more gentle on my hair
Best surprise I ever did was I gave my husband
fiber
a
towels.
1967 Mustang. I put a big red bow on it and put it in our barn.
You're that rich. Does that even make you happy anymore?
He flipped out.
I told them that I don't
What were you most surprised to learn being an actress?
99% hard work, 1% glamour.
She worked in a cave, a mine cave, like a coal digger for a week. I think that answer would be a little different. But I mean, actors work hard. Comics work hard. I get it. She does work hard. But there's more than 1% glamour. Someone's doing your makeup every day. Or someone did my makeup today. Busted.
Window seat or aisle seat?
Window.
Aisle. I have to pee. And I don't want to climb over you and wake you up. I have to pee. Aisle or window?
What's Hugh Jackman really like?
Guy.
And as decent as he appears.
What's one film you wish people would pay more attention to?
Well, a film that I made would be Birth. Look what I've got!
I want her life.
A couple of eggs.
Wow. This is incredible. What's the best part of living on a tour bus?
Being on top of each other.
I lived on a tour bus for months. I toured disease. It was fun. I mean, it was an experience that, you know, you live and you sleep in those coffins. It's weird because you just have no sense of time anymore because you, like, wake up and you're in a new city. You have to shower at the venue. You're not allowed to shit on the bus either, which is weird. You have to shit when you get out of the bus. You can pee on it, obviously. But it was honestly, like, it was cool. It was me.
It's not weird because you don't want to smell that the whole time that you're riding.
Our tour manager and Bill Hanley, and you just become so close. Like, you go out to dinner every single night. You watch each other's set. You know, it's like, I don't know, it was fun. There's something magical about it, but I would never do a bus again. I mean, I get the reason why people do bus tours because it's like you can knock out all the shows in 2 months rather than a whole year. But for me, it's like I think I prefer to, like, there's no rush. So I'll just do a show this weekend and then I can go back home for the week because it's not healthy living on a bus either. We did play Mario Kart and they just say this and it's easy. If you're watching, I know you're not. Don't even look at YouTube. You have a flip phone. I won every single time Mario Kart. Undefeated.
Can you sing your favorite lyrics from Keith Urban's song?
Well, you meet someone, the only one. Take him by the hand, twice a plan. Make some love, and babies come.
The music.
And then the babies come?
How bad of a husband was Tom Cruise? Like, Nicole Kidman, I mean, she might as well been like, what was your favorite lyrics? Red fish, blue fish, 3 fish, 2 fish, then ladies can.
What's the best part about Gone Live?
The simplicity, the air.
The staff.
Nicole, how are you feeling these days?
Honestly,
Yeah.
pretty raw.
Why?
Been through a lot.
What was the biggest learning experience?
I'm in my 13th $1.4 million home with a staff. I guess you can still go through a lot.
If you could have your portrait done by any artist, who would it be?
Freud, dead, that I would have mine done by him.
Think it's Sargent.
No, I would also pick John Singer Sargent.
Please imagine you're trapped in a box and you must mime your way out of it. Can you do it?
Oh, come on. You're kidding.
Nope.
No.
Alright. I like all that.
For your 15-year-old self, one piece of advice open to me.
Be happy.
What would you say to your 13-year-old self? I would just call myself up. You're okay. Stop praying. It's not going to go away. You're okay. Let everyone know and do something different with your hair. I think that's
What's the best parting gift from an Australian to an American on a farm visit like this?
Well, my homemade jam, our orchard, my lavender in a sachet, and my eggs.
I had homemade jam from Maria Grazia. Grazie mille.
Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thanks so much for coming.
Well, I like her. I think I had a lot of comments, but I genuinely like her. I think she's a nice lady. Latest celebrity you've ever seen. Oddly enough, I think mine is Cher. She's above and beyond. She's out of this world. She's Cher. She's won an Oscar. She's won a, the way when you talk to her, she's so honest. Like Oprah was like, now that you're 70 years old, how does it feel to get older, be 70? She goes, it sucks. Oprah's like, you really feel that way? Yes. You know, where like Nicole Kidman's like, I feel wrong, just so like in a place where I understand myself now, and I'm at peace with myself. I'm at peace with myself now. Where Cher's like, no, I get plastic surgery because I think getting old sucks. I don't like it. I don't give a shit. It's my face. I don't know. I just love Cher. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I led a tour in Australia and Europe this fall, so get tickets. Oh, and New Zealand. So get tickets. Go to MatelianComedy.com.
Can never do enough fluffing. I always say I'm a fluffer.
It's enough fluffing.
This tree definitely needs fluffing.
This is the ugliest tree I've ever seen in my entire life. Hey everybody, so today you can see we're in the studio. We are doing some of the podcasts. We're here. We are going to give you a little Christmas cheer and thought we would go over Architectural Digest with Kathy Hilton. Her name, Paris Hilton's mom. And I know she's like on The Real Housewives, but I don't watch The Real Housewives, but you know, let's see.
Hi, AD. I'm Kathy. Welcome to my home. Come on in.
How long do you think she rehearsed that for? Hi, AD. Welcome to my home. Come on in. So this is the home that Paris grew up in? Maybe? I don't know. I live in rich. They're the fucking Hiltons. They probably have like 9 houses. It's very Christmassy. It's like living in LA when you have Christmas. That just doesn't feel... It just feels like when you watch a Netflix movie and you know they've sprayed snow on places or like put white blankets on the ground. Even Home Alone, I watched Home Alone the other day, and in Home Alone, you could see where they had like white blankets on stuff. Like if you really look, you're like, oh, a lot of this snow is fake. Yeah.
We bought this house 16 years ago. The garden was so beautiful. That's really what sold us. And we ended up
You
basically...
said the garden was beautiful. I didn't see a single garden. They showed a shed with some grass, but you know, okay. Everyone, I'm on tour right now, so please come see me. It's my U.S. tour. I'm
Let's
coming
move us
from
to the kitchen.
San Antonio to Houston to Boston to
We're gonna
Portland,
clean up
Oregon,
and
Portland, Maine, Chicago.
cook a little
so
bit
get your
too.
tickets at MatelianComedy.com.
And feed him, and then we're also gonna clean up the living room. I don't know if you guys are gonna see that part because I'll probably be doing that as I clean the kitchen.
She's a way of talking
And it's
about
a
lies.
it's a lot to just keep moving the camera around. And
Christmas tree.
the wide angle might be weird because
Stop
yeah,
stopping it and
we're
let
not
the
doing
video
all that.
play.
So what we're gonna
That's
do
the whole
is
point of this. So I'm warning you right now.
unplug.
The entire point of this right now, if you're watching and you
Let's
don't like that I
charge
stop
it
it,
over
go
here.
open a separate window, open this video, watch the full video, then come back over here, like Kathy, come over here to come back over and watch because we sit and gossip and some people, this is how we do it here.
For the damn thing. Okay. It's a goddamn mess in here. Oh, Jesus Christ. I gotta get this shit together. I don't know. This can't be plugged in over here. So, let's see. What are you charged up to? Let's hope it's reasonable enough to... Whatever. We're going to assume it's reasonable. God damn it. I accidentally changed the perspective of the camera, didn't I? I can't change it. I fucked up. That's what I get for trying to check things.
Don't like it when it's just thrown on. I'm a nut in having it, tucked back in here.
It looks like a short circuit. Like, it looks like a 1980s idea of what a robot would be. Like, remember in the 80s and 70s when they thought of the future, they thought it was extra buttons, extra this, extra that. But in reality now, everything's quite minimal.
Okay, I think we can listen to it on the big screen, right? And then I can actually have chat open on this. Actually, yeah, let's just reset everything. Let's close all of these apps. Holy shit. I was heated. I left like 20 apps open. Okay. Where's YouTube's? Home is where the YouTube's is. Hopefully. Hey, where are we? Don't tell me the battery's died in this thing already. I have hardly used this TV. Okay, I didn't. It was just being mean to me. Hey, Snow. You know you're on TV. Yeah. He hates it when I clean. That's why he's quiet most of the time. Oh, look at that. The video that we were watching.
It's just thrown on. I'm a nut in having it, tucked back in here.
But it looks like a short circuit. Like, it looks like a 1980s idea of what a robot would be. Like, remember in the 80s and 70s when they thought of the future, they thought it was extra buttons.
So that way I can wash things.
But in reality now, everything's quite minimal. This feels like I have like anxiety literally looking at this tree. I don't like this tree at all.
I always get a pre-lit tree. I think that it's just easier, but you can never do enough fluffing. I always say I'm a fluffer.
At the end of the street there.
Like, she seems like a very nice lady, but someone should have been like, you can't call yourself a fluffer. Unless she knew what was up, Whatever face work she's had, her face looks good.
When I bought my store, I had bought this for
These are the ugliest dolls I've ever seen. My accent. These are the ugliest dolls I've ever seen in my life. There's a certain kind of person who wants the most realistic looking Santa doll. Do you know what I'm talking about? When you walk in a store and you see it, it's like Father. Like when a doll looks like Father Christmas and not Santa Claus, it's scary. Like it doesn't feel. It's like the Polar Express where everyone had like this sort of dead look behind the eyes. Like Santa has to have some sort of cartoon characteristics to him to sort of live in that world. This, like whatever is happening right now, and what is it about like a certain type of like Barbara Streisand collects dolls, Demi Moore collects dolls, but do they have to be so fucking ugly? The dolls are ugly.
And I felt so
This is the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I mean, this is like the scariest looking dolls I've ever seen. It's ugly. I don't understand the house is fine, but like the doll on the left looks like it's like gonna kill you, and they've got anal beads around them, and there's too much. It's too much. And we're Italian. We know what too much is. My daughter has a Christmas decoration on her tree that's a banana and 2 nuts. We tell her every year, you've got a dick on your tree. I don't have a dick on my tree. Like you do. You've got a penis on your tree now.
with it that I had to keep
It's like jump scare.
for myself. And I've added little it out of storage, I handmade this tree and I make little wreaths. And these are really nice gifts to.
She has got to look at the camera and just present the tree, fluffing every single tree. She's trying to get every tree fucking hard. I understand it's her thing, but now it's just the back of Kathy Hilton's head and her hair extensions and her trying to just fluff. Fluff it before we come. Architectural Digest is here. Now present it to us and talk to the camera.
I find people love to gather into a smaller area. We have a Christmas party and the entryway is full. This room, there's people. Fewer there. And then the dining room's always popular because I do a big cold buffet up there.
She has a Christmas tree in every room. It's like when we watch The Princess Switch in Netflix, it's like making these like really shitty Christmas movies, which by the way, I would love to star in one.
By the way, I would love to start one of those
But
shitty Christmas
they
movies.
shove Christmas because it doesn't really feel Christmassy, so they're shoving. Chris, I'm not making this up. Marie Fox and I were watching Princess Switch. She went into the bathroom to have a private phone call, and the camera pans to a full-blown Christmas tree in the bathroom. She made a movie called The Night Before Christmas, Nick spelled K-N-I-G-H-T, like a night, like a, you know, and it's 1412. And they show the castle, and on the castle, a Christmas wreath.
And then we go downstairs to the party room.
Now, if you're in an Italian family, you only go downstairs. Everything is in the house, take off the shoes, and get into the basement. Don't touch a single thing up here. This is not for you. This room is not for you. That couch is not for you. That carpet's not for you. None of the nice things that we bought in 1963 are for you. You go in the cold basement and play with the same action figures that your uncles played with over and over and over again.
This year I'm not doing my big party because, well, we just had a 3-day wedding. So I thought, you know what, I'll take this space and do a tree in here. Really, truthfully, I tried to make this extra special for AD and have it look, you know, appropriate. And that fabric, Old World Weavers, that is really what kind of inspired this room. So once I found the one fabric, that's just the way I do it.
I just didn't grow up rich.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow up like this.
Yeah.
So it's just a different world.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. There's another fucking Christmas tree.
So this happens to be my favorite room. When I designed
Every room looks the same. It's all sort of like lightish blues and turquoise. And so everything's like a kind of like white. This, what I'm looking at right now, really looks like a modern day set of the Golden Girls, like wicker furniture. There's like trees in the backyard.
room, people thought I was crazy. And now when people walk in the house, this is their favorite room. This fabric, which
Did anyone think she was crazy? Was anyone like, oh, Kathy, you're just so crazy. You and these homes, Kathy.
is available, has beautiful waterfalls and little palm trees.
I guess how are you supposed to present your home besides going into detail? There must be a producer there asking her questions. Like,
Yeah, I'm sure she's
Right.
not.
she doesn't.
Or they do like a run through beforehand.
They must. We're gonna go into this room and then that room and this room.
Seashells, I really love it. And there wasn't much left, so that is why
She is fluffing everything.
I
Controversial. People do not like it when I chop my pillows. Some like it, but a lot of comments say they don't.
It's not their house, so they can.
so they can bitch and moan, even though I'm bitching and moaning about her house right now. Gotcha.
because I'm flipping my pillows.
Kathy,
Oh my
turn around. Oh my God. It's enough fluffing. Stop saying fluffing.
And here's another one of my.
Where is she making this? Does she have a craft room where she's like, this is the Christmas tree craft room where I make all my Christmas trees, my wreaths, and my scary Santa Claus dolls that I
Little wreaths. I'm not selling them, so I'm just very proud of them. Hold on.
said you're selling them. Who's like, I did Kathy Hilton trees. Oh, it's gorgeous. I can't even see the leaves.
Isn't that pretty? And I have a little angel, little postcard vintage here. Once again, these aren't fluff, but they're really
Then flood them before they come. My God.
It's, oh my God. Right now. And did you
Just as obsessive. I mean, she's obsessively fluffing everything to the point where I'm like, it's a bit. I don't.
what I have here? The fabric really is such a perfect color for this room. Well, you know, this is a linen. It is not meant to be a tree, but we just kind of cut it, and then I have to.
She's got a fucking blanket through her tree with a fucking Christmas village going up in the tree with more stuff like where's the tree? You love Christmas trees, but where is the tree? We gotta feel. I'm feeling claustrophobic in this Christmas tree house. And also, when you have a tree in every room, does that take away from the tree?
It must, right? Like, the thing about the Christmas trees, you only have one, and you're like, oh, that's so pretty.
Right, it's the
You
tree.
get to put all your stuff on it. When you have 17 trees, it's like,
Right.
none of them are.
Because, like, this one's literally just, like, Christmas. Like, it looks like the set of Little House on the Prairie was sort of put onto this frosted tree, and then she took a blanket, I guess because the tree's cold, and wrapped it up around the tree. Some gay got to her, I don't know. But now I'm thinking, like, this seems like it's, like, genuinely her. Like, this seems like she's the one who's interested in doing all this.
Because it was really wide. And this table
Is
here.
there a liveliness to this?
Because it was really wide.
Sorry, Chris is sitting here. He hurt his leg, everybody. And I always talked to Chris. He was standing like he usually does. I said, would you please sit down? So this is why I'm sort of looking that way.
We usually have over here, and we have it stacked with books, and I'm kind of liking this tree here,
I don't
though.
think I've seen her face once. She is just obsessively turned around. Did anyone say, like, turn to the audience, Kathy?
I want to keep it up all year.
It's the same interstitial music they use for Netflix Christmas movies when they're trying to transition from, like,
Yeah.
the small town baker goes to Aldovia baking contest.
This is the dining room, as you can see. This tree definitely needs flipping.
This is the
I don't know if
ugliest
there's
tree
a thing
I've ever seen
that I can
in my
wash
entire life.
them
It's a
in, so they don't wind
ballerina
up falling
tree.
and
It's
doing
a
this
white
shit.
tree that is with ballerina shoes and pink.
And I'm going to replace it with a really
Or
beautiful
burning or worse.
tree topper.
You know?
We're getting farther and farther from the tree, everybody. This is no longer a tree. This is, it's a ballerina, it's a mosaic of ballerina shoes.
And this is really
Roll
cute.
over the fucking place.
Look at this angel. And the seashell should be in the sunroom.
She almost has a Carrie Fisher way of speaking about her, like old smoker. I bet you she'd be interesting to talk to.
Probably, yeah.
I want to know what your favorite, because they all have different personalities.
Yeah, chaos.
This happens to be my favorite. But don't
You
let me
just said the other one was your favorite. I was at a party. Nick and I were at a party once with Nikki Hilton Fashion Week. We got invited by, we were at Upper East Side walking. Isabella Rossellini was there, Bob, and then Nikki Hilton was there. And I met Paris Hilton twice. Paris Hilton I met for the first time on Nikki Glazer's old radio show. She was so nice. And I remember Nikki asked, it was Nikki's show. I was the guest that day. So when Paris came in, we kind of poster. When she came in, Nikki on the spot did a great 20-minute interview with her. And then I felt comfortable enough at that point. It's like 2017 or something. And I said, Paris, you and Brittany and Lindsay, you all went out every single night and you really managed to keep it together, what was your secret? And this is at a time when things were really bad. And it was an inappropriate question, but that's the question I asked her. Her response to me was, I think and I was like, damn. And then I met her again when I did Jimmy Kimmel years later, and first of all, she's got amazing legs. They're incredibly muscular. You would think that they're stick legs. She's got really athletic, beautiful legs. I know that sounds maybe
You can't
stop
just
it.
say
I'm
that.
just saying, I was shocked at how she looked like an athlete. Anyway, so she comes in, she does her segment, and I did my segment, and then I really wanted a photo with her. And so Jacob, who's Bob, the drag queen's partner, Jacob Ritz was like, just follow me. And Russ was in, and he was like, thank you so much, Paris. We're gonna get some photos with Mateo, acting like my PR person, my friend. So she had an 8-foot, honey colored light that she used for the photos. She had all these gays kind of buzzing around her, and I went up, and she was so wonderfully nice. We took photos together, and at the very end, she goes, and that was it. I got to meet her. Now, Nicole Richie's the one that I won. Because when I watched Simple Life, Nicole, she's my girl.
I'm a toy collector. If you were here a week from now, all of these things would be removed, and it would all be a toy store. And this toy chest was a gift from Michael Jackson.
This is a scene from hell. This is a scene from hell. I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw all these toys staring at me. I die where I stood. I would die where I stood.
She's sounds like evil Santa Claus.
She is. It's Santa Claus.
She's got-
Piece of shit.
She's got trees in every room. She makes little toys.
I feel like there's a lot of space. I know she's got like 900 rooms, but it just feels like, I don't know, she's, I don't know.
Stuffed with things like probably ready to donate.
Who did she say she got it
Chest.
from?
And this toy chest was a gift from Michael Jackson.
My brain can't even wrap around, like, what that means. Oh, thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much, Michael. I'll fill it with toys every year.
I mean, honestly, that's probably how the fucking interaction went, dude.
I love Janet Jackson and Kathy Griffin years ago on like Larry King Live said one of the funniest things ever. She was like, "You interviewed Janet Jackson?" Like, I did. She goes, "And how do you interview her?" She just I don't know, like, killed me.
12 years ago, we were both living at the Bel Air Hotel. So, of course, I
All
have
this is relatable. I also have a toy chest from Michael Jackson. I was living in the Bel Air Hotel.
a chest out in the garage, stuffed with things like probably ready to donate.
Why would you donate a fucking chest from the biggest pop star in the world? If Freddie Mercury gave me this this bottle, but I'm gonna donate it, I think. I mean, donate to charity, okay. You know what? I forget she's rich. When we say donate, we're walking to taking a bag of clothes and bringing it to donate, right? I think she means charity, like, I'm going to sell this for millions of dollars and then give it to a charity. I forget rich people operate differently.
It's so
That's
fun.
fair, yeah.
So, it's very
I'm gonna sell this for a lot of money and then give it to charity.
Like, it doesn't,
Yeah.
And what I do is now I just throw all of the kids, all of my old toys, dolls. Decided many years ago to start wrapping the gifts before. My husband and I used to assemble. We do a Christmas brunch, we do Christmas Eve, and my sisters and I, we do a turkey competition. And Kim makes great fudge, Kyle makes fabulous mashed potatoes, and I think that my stuffing's really good.
So they make Thanksgiving food for Christmas?
I don't know. None of you know how to cook, all right? I'm just saying it now. You feel it, you see it. I've seen parents make lasagna. It was a nightmare. It was incredibly entertaining at the way Paris Hilton does it, but it was, I would never eat that lasagna. It was like terrible. It looked like Nick's lasagna.
And I can't find my others, but
Fucking loving this tree. And of course, you can't find the other. Every tree's stuffed.
these are my baby shoes. So I have like everything but the
She's
kitchen.
a hoarder. That's it. You know what it
That's
is?
a lot.
She's a hoarder, but she just has a giant house.
Well,
She
yeah,
disperses
separate.
everything.
Yeah.
And she just takes all this stuff. She goes, "This Christmas tree, Chris, this is too much. There's no tree anymore. Like, that is a pile of toys shaped like a cone. And there's like a million Santas, and okay, I do see a white Christmas ornament, and I am into that.
Oh, and here's Anna Wintour. And the Queen's in here somewhere. Wait, it's the elves. We kind of put a little hook up
I
there.
think she's running from something. When you're that obsessed with your tree, and that's every year, like, I'm tired now thinking about assembling this. I'm sure she has a staff, but you know what I mean?
She
Like, yeah.
When you have 17 Christmas trees.
Yeah, no, you're not. She's not like going down to the basement and pulling it out and telling the kids that, you know.
And the elves are kind of watching out and looking.
Yeah, it's creepy.
All year long, I have these beautiful blue and white. But for Christmas and Easter, I do like to get up there and I put the huge Santa in his workshop.
Why wouldn't you do that now? You knew Architectural Digest was coming. So now she's showing us her house and telling us what it will look like a week from now. She could just schedule it like slightly earlier. You already got 8 Christmas trees up.
Children, a whole big huge visual up there. And it's just, it's fun to be in a nice environment. And this room here really is just a walk-through room. I have
TV.
some of my Majolica collection here, and then some of my little collections here.
Oh my god, everything is like, it's grand. You know what I mean? And then, like, do you use it?
So this is a new tree.
How many trees are we on right now? This is the only tree that looks like a tree so far. It's not shoved it with decoration. I swear to God, if she says I haven't decorated it yet, throw your laptop out the window.
Fluffing and playing. I wanted something where there was a lot of space so that I could hang bigger ornaments.
Oh, so she hasn't decorated yet. This is the only tree where it looks like a tree. You see that, Chris? It's the only one.
Yeah.
And she's already like, well, I can't wait to fill it. So you don't see the tree. Another ornament cone.
I think I'm going to do all colors like this. I actually just bought some new little blue and white jars for the tree, but I don't want to get bogged down and turn it into a blue and white tree.
You already made a ballerina tree, a Santa's elf tree, a whatever other tree, blanket tree.
I can take you downstairs if you want to see a mess.
Yeah, I actually do. That would be the most human side of this whole thing.
This we call it the cobra rib.
Another tree. This is the fifth tree.
Yeah.
And it's got a carriage. It's like the Cinderella tree.
I usually have 8-foot banquet tables, and I've got glue guns, and I've
There's
got
another tree next to her. That's 6 trees. We're at 6 goddamn trees.
This is just kind of thrown together so that I can see what I need. Since I won't be entertaining down here this year, instead of having them all put away in a box, I can see what I want. And what I found that I did after decorating this house.
Another tree. There's a smaller tree. We're at 7. We're at 7 trees. There's a smaller tree right there. So there's 7 trees.
More
I
colors.
had,
There's a Christmas tree outside.
and I wanted a lot of sitting areas out here. And I love this area right here. And when we have,
She must be so controlling. She doesn't seem mean.
No, but she'll just know how that's when you go here, that's when you go there.
Does Mr. Hilton have anything to say?
Or he has like one room and then all of his stuff.
Right, like the man cave, kind of. Okay, we're coming to an end. It's a conclusion.
Sadie for coming for the holiday tour. I've got to get going because I have to get back to the North Pole.
She has to go fluff Santa Claus.
It's just
I'm
fun.
gonna
It's
go
just
fluff
fun.
my Santa
I put it in a
Claus.
fancy bottle. I'm gonna tell it to
Well, that was not very Christmassy. I mean, it was Christmas, but there's something about, like, I don't know,
Too much.
where it starts to feel, it devalues itself
Yeah.
in a way. Nick, how did you feel about that? You didn't hear it the whole time? Is the mic on?
Yeah, that,
What's the perception of her?
Yeah. I'll hear it.
What's the perception of her on Housewives that watch the show? Hi, you're on my podcast, or not my podcast, you're on my YouTube channel. I just need a very quick answer. You watch The Housewives, right? And we just watched Kathy Hilton's review. We reviewed her AD, Architectural Digest, of her home. And what I took away from her, that she's kind of a controlling, she seems controlling, but she cares about her kids, but she's a little weird. And I was trying to get
Thumbs up because she sent Paris to like an abusive detention camp, you know, like a Jenny Jones style place.
Oh.
And when there's like another show where she kind of tries to talk to her mom about it, and Kathy's just like, get over it, stop, I don't care. Like, she's cold, she's hardcore, and there's a lot of, you know, like, she won't speak to her sister for a long time, she won't invite her to, you know, for her niece's wedding, like, there's always something. She's very controlling, cold, and she acts aloof, but it's really in a way to draw attention from others. And so she'll go to a fashion show and just start walking down the catwalk and be like, what, me? And then she'll like lay in bed drinking Red Bull. What I love is she'll wear hotel slippers out. Like, she doesn't give a fuck. I'll say my favorite thing about her is one time she ate a baked potato with sour cream and caviar. And then I did that and I liked it.
Oh my god, Lisa, you're okay with us using this on my channel, right?
Yeah, no, I would love it. I also want to add the biggest controversy. Oh my god, I can't believe I just started this. The biggest controversy. So, her and Lisa Rinna were in a Sprinter van in Aspen. And Lisa Rinna said that she went insane and was crazy because there was no cameras there. And so we don't know what actually happened in that Sprinter van. But basically,
first of all, in the house, she shows a chest and she's like, and I got this from Michael Jackson. And I was like, in what world were her and Michael Jackson like, hello kids, I want to give you this thing. And she's like, thank you, Michael. And then she filled it with like an unbelievable amount of toys. And then she said she was going to donate it. Like, she seems, yeah, it was very clear. But she even mentioned Michael Jackson in this 20-minute architectural digest. Lisa, you know I met Lisa, right, and did a show with her.
Well, I saw her at Delta Lounge once. And yes.
Love you, Lisa. Talk to you soon. Ciao. Everybody. Follow Glitter Cheese on YouTube. All right, thank you, everybody.
All those things together is not easy. So I'm basically a ticking time bomb. I tried to find the human in Lori Vallow for this case because that's what I do. I'm not content just hearing this evil woman killed her kids. I need to know why. And the Lori Vallow case is incredibly complicated. But the very first place that I found Lori to possibly be a human being was in 2018. She was on her fourth marriage. I gotta say, Lori was a devout religious person. And she had no problem walking away from love and getting a divorce. This can be extremely frowned upon in the community. And so, to be honest, this shows that Lori is dedicated to her religion, but she is willing to do things righteously and walk away if it doesn't work out. But this also tells me Lori loves love. Okay? You don't dive into 4 different marriages looking for fulfillment and happiness and trying to feel it all if you're not a person that loves love. Otherwise, you just sit back and remain non-committal. But she was trying, and I get that because a lot of us, that's what we want. We're looking for a big love. But Lori wasn't just looking for a big love. All of her other relationships didn't work out for a couple of different reasons. You know, maybe they met at the wrong time. Maybe it was an abusive marriage. Maybe they just kind of grew apart. But there was actually one underlying reason why Lori's marriages weren't working out. Remember I said before that she was a devout religious woman. Well, that's a big part of it. Lori Vallow was looking for a spiritual warrior of sorts. Somebody that could match her level of religious conviction. And she just wasn't finding it with her past husband. I mean, it was like after the love kind of wore off and the general excitement, she was just left in a marriage with somebody that didn't love God as much as she did, and sometimes judged the way that she felt about them. And then one day, in 2018, Lori gets invited to this religious conference in Utah with 2 of her friends. And this guy standing up front, talking about God, and it's just beautiful. He speaks with so much conviction. It's almost like this right, white light. And Lori knows spiritual. And not only that, but this man knows something. He knows something coming. The end of the world is coming. And only 144,000 of God's most loyal servants will be taken up into the kingdom. And he knows when it's happening. And he knows how to get there. And he will be exalted. And Lori, my God, she is coming with him. documentaries, you know, she doesn't just have her hair bleached or dyed and, you know, have a little bit of makeup on for the documentary. Like, no, she is tan, she has on sparkly makeup, she's got her hair freshly, like, neat, everything. When you look at her, you can tell this is a woman that cares very, very much about her appearance, has a specific type of style, and has cared about her appearance for her entire life. I mention this because this is the woman that raised Lori, and even though we don't have too much information from this, it was just something I noticed in all of the documentaries that I couldn't unsee. So Lori was the second youngest out of 5 kids, and she was raised in a very, very, very religious home. Her family was in the Latter-day Saints, and they lived in California, but, you know, they were practicing, had family in Utah, would occasionally travel over there. But the big thing about Lori, and I thought this was so interesting, was Lori was not going to church just once a week, not just twice a week for, you know, a little Bible study or something. She was going every single day before school. So she would have her normal day where she went to church with her family, but she also was going to religious education classes in the morning before school every single day, Monday through Friday. Now, look, this is actually a common practice for Mormon children. It's called seminary, but I want you to get a picture of how much religion took center stage in her life. Lori's entire life was God and church. A lot of kids, I'm somebody that has a bit of religious trauma, and I just went to church 2, maybe 3 times a week. But like clockwork, week over week, this girl was talking about religion at minimum 30 hours a week. 30 hours a week. And that doesn't even include, you know, when she goes home and her family sits around and says, let's all read the Book of Mormon together and, like, have a couple scriptures and some tea. You know what I mean? Like, she is constantly soaking up this information. Now, I know this is a pretty generic thing to say in true crime, but I actually believe it to be true. People said Lori was a pretty happy kid and she had a happy childhood. Like, there are people that have memories of her when she was much younger, and she seemed to build some meaningful connections with people. You remember her, right? One of her friends, Laura, said she just laughed hysterically all the time. I just always thought she was kind of a Barbie doll. She was just really, really friendly, not overly friendly, really sweet, just normal, and I was so excited to get to know her. Like, that is how people remember Lori when she was a kid. She did, however, get pretty good grades, and she was involved in a lot of extracurricular activities. She was a flyer for the cheerleaders, like, you know, the person that they lift up that's kind of like a light, and, I'm here. You know, that was Lori. Now, another thing is, part of the reason why Lori was so happy was because religion was her glue. Religion was her you can do no wrong. A lot of kids, when they're younger, they're armed with this knowledge of, hey, you're religious now, you want to get into heaven, that's the big goal. So while you're on earth, be nice, be loyal to God, and then you will go to heaven. So for somebody like Lori that is going to religious education school every single day, religion is her world. All she cares about is God. All she cares about is she has like the schematic of honor him, worship him, go to school, go to cheerleading, and everything will be okay. This is Lori Cox. Okay? Lori Cox's entire personality is I am here to serve God and you. Whatever you need, I can do it. Like, that's who she is, okay? And she does it with a smile. She was just here to do a good job, and I'm here wherever you need me. Like, it kind of feels like there's times where there's like nothing between the ears, but I mean, there is something between the ears, and it's God. It's God and good grades, and that is who she is. If you tell her, do X, Y, Z, and I'll consider you a good person, Lori Vallow is going to do X, Y, Z. That's just who she is. Summer's almost over. But listen, it's not the only time that you get body odor. And it's not the only time that you want to stay clean and smelling nice. Blooming can help. Did you guys know that their formula provides 72 hours of protection? 72 hours of protection. That's what you're getting from Blooming. It's a pH balancing deodorant. It keeps you covered all day long and a little bit more. Blooming is a whole body deodorant, so you can use it on your kids, you can use it on your private, you can use it wherever you want. Put it on your feet, you can use it from the soles to the base, whatever you want to do. Blooming has got you. And guess what? You're going to smell nice. making you smell good, keeping that odor protection all day. It's also for keeping your pits drier, okay? Everything is about to be sealed up with this stick on your body. And look, if you don't know where to start, well, let's start with the starter pack. This thing has solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 or 3 products of your choice, like mini body wash or the deodorant types. Those are useful. I like those. Now, the starter pack is already discounted. A lot of them can use the code for 15% off. You can actually stack it on top of the starter pack. If you want to try one today and give it a shot, just use the code SINISTER at checkout for 15% on top of the starter pack. If that's where you want to go first. That's LUCDEODORANT. Enter the code SINISTER at moviedeodorant.com for 15% off your purchase. Up until this point, Lori is just going to school, getting her good grades, going into your practice, going to church, going to her religious studies, and I'm Lori. Where do you meet me? That's how she is the whole time. Until her senior year, Lori Vallow ends up tasting the forbidden fruit. That's right, she got her first boyfriend in her senior year. Now, this is interesting because it also lends the credence to my theory that Lori is just here to be a good girl because they told her, you know, you can't have sex before marriage, you don't need to date nobody, you don't need to date God, Jesus, he's number one, Savior, the man, right? This is how she was raised. She wasn't even looking at guys until she was a senior in high school. And the other thing is, Lori was kind of that. She was a little beauty, you know, she's blonde, she's got good facial features, but she was not looking at any of these guys. And suddenly, in her senior year, she not only gets her first boyfriend, but she falls in love. And this is Lori's first big love. And there's many more to come. But this one was serious. She and Nelson Haynes dated from the early 90s and ended up getting married in 1992. But one problem. He was not of the faith. And Lori didn't really like to talk about it. When she brought Nelson around her family members, they immediately knew, like, that boy is not Mormon. Like, what are you doing? I mean, he's not a Latter-day Saint. He's not a Mormon. Is he even religious? This is really, really interesting because Lori was such a devout Latter-day Saint. And not only did she bring home a boy who was not of the religion, but she didn't seem to care. And this is just kind of the first break that I see in Lori's character. Almost that she is willing to sacrifice her morals for a guy. Now, is it a problem for somebody that is religious to date somebody that's non-denominational or not religious? That's fine with me. But for her and her family, this is odd. Regardless, she and Nelson married in 1992. But the marriage quickly falls apart because he's not Mormon. That's actually what the big thing was. Nelson was not. He was just a guy. But the relationship ended up fizzling out, and they divorced and had no children. So next, Lori gets married to her second husband in 1995, just a couple of years later. She has her first child out of this marriage. It's her son named Colby. And, you know, Colby actually said to me later, quote, it was a genuinely bad marriage. And that's all he had to say about it. So she ends up divorcing her second husband shortly after they got married. But in 2001, she is right back at the altar, ladies and gentlemen. Then she ends up marrying a guy named Joseph Ryan in 2000. This is just 6 years after her second marriage. And this one also a lot of these documentaries are not what I'm going to take as gospel. I do take the family members' words as truth. And what I found while looking into the Lori cases, people thought that Lori was delusional. So let's just pause for a second. It's 2005. Lori has 2 children, Colby and Tylee, and she's just got out of her 3rd marriage. She's, she's 3 times divorced, somewhere in her 30s. There was a moment in the documentary where Lori's mother started to talk about how Lori was living some strange behavior. Now, her mother is extremely religious, okay? But even Janice was noticing that some of Lori's beliefs were extreme. It's almost like when she got really stressed or upset, she would just go into this childlike, well, not say everything in the world that was not like, I wish, like she would get stressed. And she started talking about God. Like it was the one thing that made her feel better. And here's the thing, for Lori's friends, God, yeah, this is great. We want to go to heaven. Everything's amazing. A delusion is when we accept a thing that is not real as fact because that thing makes us feel good. Okay? Oftentimes, people accept delusions because the delusion makes them feel good. And so for Lori, she kind of begins to slip into no longer just faith and perseverance. She's slipping into delusion, religious delusion, when she gets stressed out because her background tells her to follow God and all will be okay. So no matter what the issue is, Lori goes back to God. But God can't always fix everything. Sometimes you have to fix it. If your 3rd husband is like abusive physically and sexually to you and your children, you cannot just pray this away. You have to do something. And so if Lori is dealing with the severe psychological stress of realizing, oh my God, I have married a sexual abuser, her brain just short circuits and says, go with God. And like she actually doesn't even know what to do. I'm actually gonna say that this is the first part of maybe turning our empathy cap down a little bit, because I believe that religion was spoon-fed to Lori and she can't help certain delusions. However, if you are of sound mind that you can divorce the abusers and say, oh my God, they did it, like there's some disconnect happening when you just fall immediately to religion. And if other people are watching this and saying that you're a little loopy, then you got to do something about it. You know, you got like she was just on the brink of reality, and it's like she like lost it because it was all too much for her. So in the documentary, her mom actually described a moment where Lori was actually so weird that they actually got her 5150 and they took her in and they interviewed her and they said, okay, well she's saying some religious stuff, but like, that's about God, so that's fine. And then also, I really think this was a big factor. Lori was pretty, so they let her go. These people actually came and picked her up after her mother was like, she needs to be treated or she needs to be looked at. And they talked to her and they were like, sounds like everything's fine. You can go home now. And the shock that was on her mom's face when they let her go makes me wonder what kind of delusional religious stuff was Lori saying that even Janice, a fellow, hardcore religious person, was like, you need to go talk to somebody. And 2, I think it's really interesting that she was so shocked that Lori came home that same day. There's also a later clip where Tylee is a little bit older when she's actually talking to the police in the body cam footage, and her mom says something, and Tylee goes, you're delusional. So I'm saying all of this to say, around 2005 is when people really started to notice that Lori was becoming a religious fanatic that would deal with any extremely stressful problems by just falling into the world of God and not doing anything else about it. And people were concerned. Now, this will start to happen a bit more from 2005 on, but I want you to be mindful that from 2005 on, Lori is having these religious, delusional episodes, and everybody is watching, but they don't know what to do because she's a good mom that's pretty. I mean, truly, that's why. So right after the divorce in about 2004, same time that I'm saying these delusional things happened around 2005, Laura decides that she's going to be a little brand new, and she competes in a beauty pageant. And Lori is up on stage, honestly, looking great, strutting her stuff, doing her thing. She's got a bikini body, she's smiling. She looks like a pageant girl. But there's one moment in her pageant interview that is not only very strange, but it's foreshadowing of what happens next. Actually said deep down inside, it sounds like Lori may have known that things were not okay, but sometimes people say things and they really don't know how much they're struggling. So after this, she also ends up appearing on Wheel of Fortune. And while she's on the show, her play is very, very interesting. I used to watch the whole clip. She starts to guess the letters on the screen, and it's very obvious at a point she's got a long puzzle to solve, and every time she spins, she hits for a certain amount of dollars, and she already clearly knows the word because she's guessing every letter to try to up her bank, to make more money. This is a smart Wheel of Fortune tactic, but at one point the host actually says to her, like, Lori, are you sure you want to keep spinning? Because, you could go bankrupt at any point. And she said, well, I didn't have any money when I got here, so I'm not even kidding. That's exactly how she says it to me. I had no money anyway. So through these actions, Lori is like telling us a couple of things. She has ended her relationship and she's looking for her confidence again, kind of finds it in the beauty pageant. And she's also looking for maybe a little attention, a little cash. She's looking for something new, okay? She throws herself into beauty pageants and TV right after her third marriage. Like, she's looking for something for her, I think. But there's always something out there for Lori on the field, and that's men. And in 2006, she gets married to her husband, Charles Vallow. That's where she gets the name. In 2006, he was a businessman, pretty well off, and this was actually her longest marriage. This marriage lasted for 13 years. Now, Charles was much older than her. In fact, he was 17 years her senior. But that seemed to work for Lori. She didn't have complaints about Charles towards herself, the kids, or anything, and it was her longest relationship to date. Now, even though this is Lori's, quote, most successful marriage because it had the longest duration, it was not without issues. But before we get into the next part here, I want to just kind of bring back that disclaimer that I mentioned before. I said before that when the media covered the Lori Vallow case, which you may have heard before, it was very confusing. It was convoluted. That's because, in my opinion, the way that the story has been told was without all of the pieces. They started covering the Lori Vallow case in 2020 before everything came out in the trial, and so things were not told in chronological order. They were actually told in the order that the evidence was generally found, which I believe makes the story really convoluted. So, for the rest of this podcast, I'm going to tell you things as they happen rather than just when they were revealed, and it will help you understand the timeline of events a little bit better. I'm just giving you that warning because you've heard this before. You might realize this is laid out a little bit differently, but that's because they were releasing the information before the whole timeline was actually available. You know, ultimately, like that, and I can bar. That's where you get to seven I can work, four I can fix it, and then four I can joke. Okay, and what is that? You get your boss, you get your stuff, right? You get your IQ mix, which is like the best you like to do the day. And oh my god, don't even get me started. And IQ jelly, smooth energy, all day, and coffee. If it's 2 in the morning, how could you go wrong? No, listen, I'm gonna do this for the Stanford package, but let me tell you a little more about IQ. IQ was 9 cents later. And also, listen, more fiber, less sugar, less carbohydrate than alternative. Look at nutrition. It's perfect just for you. And it's very particular. But if you're just looking for something to get you started in the morning, try an IQ bar. Figure it out. You could be having a full IQ morning. You have your IQ bar, and then wash it down with some electrolyte mix. And then, right after that, you need a little bit of energy. You need a little bit more. Try an IQ Joe. Put up all these back to back. Boom, boom, boom. All the 30 minutes. It's Listen, like, you think that this is just an ad, but I want you to think about it. Having a low-carb, low-sugar treat first thing in the morning, some electrolytes, you aren't going to drink no water anyways, and then on top of that, you got a little coffee and caffeine. Tell me that isn't everything you need in the morning. It's everything you need. And guess what? It's all right in the sampler pack. So, let's just go ahead and do this. If you want to get 20% off, I can first a little bit different. You got to shoot them a little text message, okay? But it's super simple. You text the word sinister to 64000. It's that easy. Also, that means you can get free shipping. Free shipping too. So that's sinister 64,000. So, like I said, this is Lori's longest marriage, 13 years. But a couple of things happened over the course of the marriage that I think are pretty important. So, one, things seemed to be pretty good in the beginning, but there were some family issues. One thing was that Lori, after her divorce with her third husband, she ends up telling her brother, a man named Alex, that her husband assaulted her child. Remember I said that Lori and the sister out of 5 children? Well, Alex is the big one. And not only is he the brother, but he's the big uncle. So when he hears that Heidi has been assaulted, Alex gets pissed and he comes after the guy. In 2007, he was actually arrested for attacking Joseph Ryan. Now, mind you, Lori is married to her new husband, Charles Vallow, at this point. This is how she got the name. But when they're revisiting the previous marriage, this detail comes out, and Lori's brother is extremely upset. And I get that. I totally get that. That's his nephew. That's his baby sister. Like, this guy is pissed. During this assault, the brother actually tased Joseph, Lori's ex-husband, and Joseph immediately called his lawyer. Alex pled guilty to aggravated assault, and then he served 3 months in jail. Now, because this arrest happened, there are actually court documents. And in the court documents, it says, quote, Tylee was being pushed by her mother to make an outcry, which Tylee later recanted. The ball is really in your court, because let me just break down a couple of family dynamics. Reminder, the third husband is Tylee's biological father. Also, Tylee was under the age of 5 when these things supposedly happened. Now, you can say maybe she felt remorse making a statement against her biological father. Or maybe she knew it happened and Tylee didn't remember, and so she pushed her to make these statements. But regardless, Tylee did later recant, and Joseph has denied all of the abuse allegations. So this is all happening during the fourth marriage with Charles. So he's kind of just watching it happen, and also he sees he's not the spiritual warrior that Lori is looking for, but he's stable. He supports her. He's financially well up, and he's got a kind soul. Now, family drama aside, there were some happy parts of the relationship. For example, Lori and Charles actually ended up adopting JJ, who was Charles's great nephew. His name was Joshua JJ Jackson. JJ was autistic and needed a bit of support, and not only were Lori and Charles there for him, but also Kylie. This is a huge part of the battle case that I remember. The number of home movies where Kylie was very protective of JJ, literally saying, "This is my little brother," there was this warmth. She knew JJ had the sweetest soul, and she knew he needed a little bit of support. And this was not her adoptive cousin, second, twice removed or something. To Tylee, JJ was pretty much her little brother. In fact, when all the reports came out about this case, JJ was Lori's child. Tylee was Lori's child. These are children that she is supposed to take care of. They look to her like a mother. I mean, of course, Tylee was actually her kid, but they operated as a family unit. I'm going to tell you later in the story that Lori Vallow killed JJ, a child that could not defend himself and never deserved any harm coming to him. But I want to remind you that even though JJ is not Lori's biological child, JJ lived in her home for many years. She put him to bed at night. She took care of him when he needed something. She made him breakfast every morning. She saw him every day. She sent him off to school. By all accounts, this was supposed responsibility to take care of his child when she adopted him, and he lived there like she was his mother. Now, yes, this was Lori's longest standing relationship, but to be honest, she didn't find exactly what she was looking for in Charles. She was still looking for that spiritual equal, that God warrior, that person that was going to ride into the holy heavens with her. And you know what? She realized maybe it's not Charles, but he's a good guy and we got a good home. And she needed a little bit more. She needed a little bit more fire to her religion because this was the most important thing in Lori's life. So she started a podcast. This podcast was on the Preparing a People Network, and it was hosted by Lori and her best friend, a woman named Melanie Gibb. This is a spiritual extremism podcast. That is straight up the thing. If I could just like chime in here for a minute with like my Christian roots, which I do all the time, I talk about life cases with female killers and religious killers, okay? That is just what I do. In this podcast, they talk a lot about concepts that don't seem very godlike. They talk about evil energy. They talk about spiritual prisons. They're using a lot of terminology that actually strikes me as pretty new agey. Like, we have gone past reading the scriptures, okay? Look, God says go to heaven, read the Bible, be a good person. They started bleeding in this delusion, this religious extremism, these new age concepts. And to me, honestly, a lot of new age concepts are based in overcoming trauma and having like this energetic kind of past that is still haunting. And the problem is, in religion, we just don't respect mental health. It is actually shocking to me that they even 5150 Lori at some point because in extreme religious communities, we're like, oh, she's just praising God and it's okay. The things that Lori was saying on this podcast, honestly, to me, are not even godlike. But the question is, why are they doing this? Why are they diving into these extreme religious concepts? It's because it feels good to them. Delusion feels good to certain people. It is the most horrifying thing for an external person to witness that is not in that world. But the reason why people cling on to delusion is because it feels good. So when Lori is doing all of this, honestly, not even Mormon, very like new age babble under the guise of, being a Latter-day Saint and being more spiritually connected. First of all, she's absolutely lost it. Second of all, this was a really scary podcast for some people to listen to. Her husband, Charles Mallow, after being married to her for 19 years, was like, I cannot even listen to this because I'm a little freaked out. When they were running around the house saying random delusional stuff, like how Kylie would comment on it or how Charles would comment on it, because everybody else in the room wasn't down with her delusions, it kind of stayed caged. Like, she might say something and then go off into la la land or whatever. Now, she has created an echo chamber for her delusions with a weekly schedule and other participants. So this means the delusion is going to grow. They are fanning the flames, and every week they're sitting down in this podcast, feeling important, feeling enlightened, feeling closer to God, and feeling like they are doing the Lord's work. But in reality, we are a community of people bonded together by delusion and spiritual fanaticism. That's what it is. This podcast is a pivotal moment in her life, okay? Because we have gone from her saying a few things in church, and people being like, okay, Lori, to her saying a few things in the home, and people being like, okay, Lori. Now, I listened to this podcast a little bit, and I think what was probably the most shocking part about it, other than the spiritual demons conversation, wherever they were recording, this person had multiple pets, a bird, and a dog. And through the entire podcast, while Lori is just, you just hear this parrot and this bird was going on and on in the background. Can y'all imagine if I was doing Sinister and I had a bird right here, a dog right here, and a really energetic cat over here, and I just kept talking and you were supposed to listen? That's what their podcast was like. So, to do an audio show with the mission yourself, okay, you are supposed to wait for God. Y'all are supposed to wait. So the art for this is like a Spartan warrior that is getting ready to fight for God. God is asking you to go to war. He is asking you to go to war. They are out there spiritual warriors. You know what this is giving? This is giving people that are extremely traumatized, but they're not allowed to acknowledge their trauma because maybe the trauma came from the church, or the church doesn't believe in trauma for mental health. So they have to rationalize it with these new age concepts like spiritual demons rather than this person's a fucking narcissist. Their podcast is this weird combination of mental health that nobody's allowed to talk about using new age terms and religion. I think they're really talking about their mental health issues, but they can't do it. So they do it under the guise of religion, and it ends up turning into the craziest podcast you've ever heard. So you remember I said that this was on the Preparing of People Network. Well, guess what? It's time for the Preparing of People conference, and that is exactly where Lori and her friends go to find fellow spiritual warriors that are also fans of their podcast and connect with God. So, in 2018, Lori goes to the convention with her friend Melanie. On one of the days, she ends up going to a panel where this guy was speaking. He's an author. He wrote apocalyptic religious military novels. Now, he wasn't a New York Times bestseller, but he was on stage and everyone was listening. He introduced himself and his name was Chad. Chad was up there talking about his books, talking about his beliefs, and talking about everything. And there's a moment where Lori's listening to this guy, and I can only imagine him talking to slowly turn into wah, 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 because Lori's eyes lit up. This was her. This was her God warrior. Oh my God. He's here. He has finally been sick. Now remember, Lori has been married 4 times. She is not afraid of divorce, and she's not afraid of love. And with Chad Daybell, it was practically love at first sight. Lori went up and introduced herself right away to Chad. Now, if you're listening on audio, you may not know what Chad and Lori look like. I implore you to look it up. But let me give you a little bit of introduction. Chad Daybell is a front man with an interesting head shape. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like his head shape is like a rectangle inside of a rectangle inside of a rectangle. He has the most textbook military buzz cut I've ever seen in my life. Like even the length that I'm looking at in this photo, I'm like, holy shit, that's a military buzz cut. He's got nice feet. Other than that, he kind of just looks like a sad pastor. He's giving sad pastor vibes. Or you know what? He dresses like a pastor, but he doesn't have the conviction in him to be a pastor. I'm actually seeing more like Usher here, maybe Usher. Okay? And then Lori, disclaimer, she's a fucking monster, but she's a pretty woman. So I'm going to use that description because I'm making a point here. Lori is an older woman that takes really good care of herself, okay? Most people in California or Utah, they would look at her and say, that is a very pretty lady. She's got blonde hair, it's dyed pretty well, touched up, it's got nice layers in it, she's got pretty teeth, she's got a little shimmery pink lipstick on, she's got blue eyes, a little mascara, all of her facial features are all in the right place, got a little Botox, a little something done, but Lori's taking care of herself. I'm going to make some assumptions here, but walk with me. So when these two people meet at the Preparing of People conference, Lori is going into it like, oh, I like you. And Chad is looking at her like, are you talking to me? This man can't believe this pretty woman is talking to him. Okay? And this is really, really, really important. I know here, I don't want to call a murderer pretty. I don't want to call a child killer pretty. But I have to for the context of the story because I think it plays a major role into it. People at the conference said, including Lori's best friend Melanie, that she was flirting with Chad. When she walked up, she was not just inquiring about the book, she was flirting. And Chad is actually married. But also, you want to talk to me right now? Oh my gosh, tell me more about this book. I want to know more. And he's like, well,
Okay, well, there we go. Jeez, I hope it wasn't dead for very long. I literally just moved it. Jeez, okay.
Veil allows information to be downloaded into my brain from the other side. Couple of things. I don't think Chad is as delusional as Lori. I think he's a bit delusional, and I think he's pretty grandiose. The line, my torn
I don't know how long
veil
that was in
allows
for. That's
information
awful.
to be downloaded
Jeez.
into my brain from the other side implies that he thinks that he's special, he thinks he's superior. It's also pretty narcissistic, pretty grandiose. I would like to just point out that Lori doesn't really have a history of thinking God is transmitting messages to her. She's looking for the messages from God. But Chad is so egotistical and self-important that he believes he is the savior. He is the one receiving the messages. It is him. He is special. So they're both fairly delusional, but there's a difference in it. I hope this makes sense. He was not a successful writer, but he was a niche writer. And in October of 2018, he was invited as a speaker and an author to the Preparing a People's Conference. And that is where he met Lori Vallow, right there when he was on stage. These two do not waste any time. They immediately go into full affair mode. Also, mind you, I think this is probably a full-blown limerent affair. If you haven't heard of that before, it's two people in a state of limerence that become obsessed with each other. It can be very intense. It can be very emotional. There's a sense of longing there. And you don't have to have any type of mental diagnosis to be in a state of limerence. You don't have to have any type of personality disorder, no anything. Anybody can experience a state of limerence when there is a limiting situation and an object that they want on the other side. Longing is a very, very, very intense emotion, especially when the object of your desire is right in front of you, but there's a couple of invisible barriers. And that's what this affair felt like for the two of them. They loved being in each other's company. It was exciting. Every time they hung out, there was dopamine hit after dopamine hit. Whether they were talking on the phone, whether they were messaging each other, whether they were seeing each other in person. But here's the thing. They're not really talking about how much they like each other first. They're not talking about that at all. Because they can't. It would be insane. Instead, they're talking about religious concepts. But their religious concepts are not based in just religion. They are not talking about the scriptures. They're talking about their version of the scripture. And so what is this? Now that we've gone through both their background, Lori's version of the scripture is she's a traumatized person that uses a lot of New Age language, loves New Age stuff, loves spiritual demon shit. Give me all you got, upload your full God clip into me. I'm fucking here for it. Give me. And then Chad's form of scripture delusion is homicide and the end of the world. Okay? They are not talking about the Bible, but they're pretending like they're talking about the Bible. And Lori, I don't know if I've explained this well enough that you guys can see what was happening here, but I've watched hours of documentaries. I've watched so many hours of like their interviews, how they speak, their past life, their everything, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my god, I'm straight. These were two horny people that were really into each other and they wanted to fuck, but they couldn't talk about it, so they were just constantly talking about God. This happens later in the relationship, but I just need to tell it to you now so you know where I'm at. For example, from the research of things that they would say that make me think they're just horny for each other. Okay? This information came from Melanie Gibb, who was Lori's best friend. She told everything to, and Melanie ratted her out later because she was not Christ-like, even though this was her podcast host. Chad and Lori both believed in reincarnation, and Chad told her one time that he had lived 31 previous lives on different planets, and Lori had lived 21 separate lives, 5 of which coincided with his life experience on Earth. Bro, that's his way of saying we were married in another life. I think we were married in another life. Have you ever really liked someone before and thought, I think I knew you in another life, or I think I was with you in another life? That is not some spiritual religious shit. That is something we say to a dude we really like when we're 17, okay? And that's what they were saying to each other. They are saying brushing up stuff to each other and then wrapping it up into religion. But they are not secretive about this. In fact, they can't hold it in. And this is a very emotional thing that they are just so obsessed with each other. To the point that Melanie, the best friend, steps in and she actually suggested to Lori and Chad that they needed to divorce their spouses because their connection was too intense. Not that Melanie felt like they needed to be together and this was the right thing. She was like, you guys are cheating and I cannot watch this. So if you guys really want to be together, then you guys need to divorce your spouses. That's what Melanie was saying. Melanie told the press later on that Lori believed that she and Chad were sealed due to their past lives. And it didn't
I keep
matter
looking up here like it's gonna be there and it's not.
It didn't have to be. He is really telling her crushed stuff under the guise of spirituality. And Lori loves spirituality.
That's
Chad
not good.
also told Lori that she
Should I
was
wash
not
it in the
allowed to
dishwasher
talk
again?
about
That's
any of
wild
their
as
private
shit.
conversations because
That's
this
the
was
only- that's the only
information
explanation.
receiving from beyond the
I guess I did.
God.
Okay.
This is what I see.
Oh god, heck, my glasses.
Wrapping dark stuff and romantic stuff into the guise of spirituality, and we're feeding it to a woman that wants nothing more than the love of a man and the love of God.
Crack that.
I also kind of think that Chad realized all of this stuff was working, and this hot woman is eating it up and coming closer and closer to him. Like, this is feeding into his ego, this is feeding into her delusions. This is truly, genuinely, truly a match made in hell. The fact that these two people met is so strange, so unique, and so should have never happened. So, 4 months after Lori meets Chad, things start to get very dark. Lori and Chad start to do what they call energy work to get rid of people's evil spirits. Lori would tell Melanie later that she firmly believed that the only way to get rid of a zombie or a spiritual demon, somebody that's controlled by an evil spirit, is to destroy the person's body. I believe that Lori fully believed this, and I think that Chad fully manipulated her. But don't get me wrong, Lori is no saint here, because remember, her roots are in being religious and being a good servant. And here she is having an affair. That doesn't have anything to do with her delusions. So there is a part of me that really feels like Chad manipulated Lori using spirituality, but the lack of morals for Lori were always there. Now, do you want to know how fast all of this was moving? The Preparing Your People conference was in the beginning of October. And on October 30th at 11 a.m., Chad Daybell sent this email to Lori. The email says, here are the family history documents you requested. Next, there's a title, and it says family history information. When I hear the words family history information, I'm thinking genealogy report. I'm thinking something
I've got 15 minutes.
Something that's based on familial
What can I do
DNA.
for
Something,
15
right?
minutes?
History implies factual. Information implies factual. What he sends are the light and dark spirit
I
ratings.
guess you guys can watch me set up this area over here.
So the email starts.
I don't think it'll take 15 minutes, but I can draw it out for a minute.
Light and dark scale. For example, he says most are most bishops and ward leaders are level 3. Most state presidents and general authorities are a 4. The apostles are a 5. A few level 6. The dark side can only match the light numbers, not exceed them. And there's not a whole lot of 5s on Earth right now. It limits the dark's power. So he's presenting one of the most fucking insane things I've ever seen in my life to a woman that's like super, super delusional. So he sends off like kind of a guide to how to read this. And then next, he sends ratings, light and dark ratings for Lori's family. First person listed is Alex Cox, her brother. Lori's light rating is a 4.3, even though he told her there's not many 5s on Earth. He's inflating her ego by rating her a 4.3 in the light. Her past husband was a 2L. Oh, her second husband, he was a 2D. He was dark. And also, Chad Daybell has taken the liberty to give lightness and darkness ratings to Lori's children. Lori's first son, Colby, gets a 3L. 3L light, above the average Latter-day Saint. And then, finally, her second child, her biological daughter, gets a 4.1 on the dark side. This man that Lori trusts and believes just told her that her daughter is evil. And not only that, but according to this scale, she is so evil that she may never come to life. This is scary for Lori. Now, there's a few other people on this list, but another one that's really interesting is J.J. Vallow, her adopted son. He receives a 4.2 light rating. Within less than 30 days of meeting Chad Daybell is grading her family and her soon-to-be missing children, and she's not dead yet. So this is the moment that I'm going to tell you to completely take your empathy cap off from Lori. If you ever had it, which by the way, I know some of y'all ain't never had one. Y'all said child killer, send her to the grave, you know? And which totally, I'm there with you. I'm just trying to do my job here on Sinister. So I'm reminding you, if you have felt like Lori was a mentally ill woman that was taken advantage of up until this point, I'm right there with you. But this is the moment that my empathy cap is completely coming off and it's going in the garbage because ain't no man that I done known for a couple weeks going to tell me my daughter's bad. You ain't gonna tell me anything about my family and my children and what I should do with them. So this is the moment that Lori, for me, has gone from human to bad, bad mom and soon child killer. And I will not stop calling Lori Bell a child killer because that's what she is. Just a heads up, guys. These sponsors on that video. What this week our production line got a little bit messed up. So one more, but thank God it's a good one. Look, you guys already know. If you've been watching Sinister for a while, I love ZocDoc. Okay, I told you guys all the time about how I use it in my daily life, how it saves me so much time and honestly stress. Now, look, last week some of you guys know I've had some like medical issues with my skin. And the other day, I saw this mole that had to go. And my doctor couldn't get me in. And I'm not kidding you guys. I booked an appointment on ZocDoc, and the next day, I had this mole removed. Hold on, I gotta get one. Yeah, we're not playing around, and neither is ZocDoc. Listen, if you don't know what it is, it's an app or a website, however you want to use it, where you can find 5-star doctors in your area that take your insurance within a reasonable time frame. And the best part is, you don't even have to pick up the phone. You can book your appointments all within the app. You can find appointments weeks out, next week, sometimes even in 48 or 72 hours. And if you're lucky, or you're like, in a high population area like LA, you can get a next day. Here's the best part. After I made this appointment and had this doctor take care of me, they became my new dermatologist. I'm not kidding. I found my most recent dermatologist off of ZocDoc. I'm so happy to have them as a sponsor, and I'm also happy to share it with you guys because I really genuinely believe this is the future. No more picking up the phone. Do you take my insurance? Here's my code, blah, 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 blah. Nope. You just type it all in on the app. And I think this is something we've all needed for a long time. Take care of yourself, take care of your health, and try ZocDoc. Don't forget, you guys can help us out a little bit because ZocDoc is free, but if you use our code, ZocDoc.com/sinister, let them know where you can. Once again, it's ZocDoc.com/sinister. A sponsor that I literally am using week over week. This spiritual work, this energy work, this affair, to be blunt, went on from October all the way until January when Charles Bellow, Lori's current husband, started to feel unsafe. Her religious delusions had gone absolutely haywire. I mean, think about it. She's still doing the weekly podcast. Now it's been going on for even longer. She has just got back from preparing a people's conference back in the fall. And now, unbeknownst to Charles, the craziest man that anyone has ever met is whispering in his wife's ear. And honestly, all the people said, oh, they were never having an affair. They never did anything. Shut up. Shut up. Allegedly, I have to say allegedly because this wasn't in the court documents. They were fucking. These people were fucking. These people with spiritual demons, y'all was having a spiritual affair. Like, y'all really were. And pretended to talk about some Jesus, talk about some God, whatever, and then locking lips right afterwards. Lori's delusion brain is absolutely juiced up. And her husband, Charles, rightfully so, is scared. Lori has been calling herself a god lately. Chad probably told her that she was some queen that should be on his arm. She's a god, he's a god, da da da. And Lori's believing it. She has gone from being a faithful servant to now she believes that it's a god. And she is also receiving messages from beyond the veil. Not like Chad does, but she does receive a few. She also starts to accuse her husband, Charles Ballow, that she's been married to for almost 20 years, of being a man named Nick Schneider and threatened to kill him. She said that he wasn't really Charles. He was actually Nick Schneider trying to trick her, and she would kill him. He wasn't going to get away with this. Charles is scared. He calls the police. He tries to get an order of protection for himself as well as for JJ. He's worried about JJ. He's worried about Kylie. And, you know, his body cam footage when he first called Lori is online. And he looks incredibly concerned. This woman that he's loved for many years and thought that he knew is starting to change. And unbeknownst to him, it's because of this very strong outside influence. On the day that Lori is supposed to be served the order of protection, she disappears. She is nowhere to be found. She's never really served. This is another woman that we would throw away our MP cap for Lori because she knew this order of protection was coming because of her own actions, and she ran from it. Do with that what you will. Charles is so scared that he actually pulls JJ out of school. He was at a place called the Life Academy in Gilbert, Arizona, and he actually was getting special treatment for his autism, and this was a really important school because this place finally worked for him. But he did not want to take him out of the school, but kind of felt like he had to for safety. And then he ends up moving them to Houston, Texas. But not too long after, he moves back to Arizona because Lori reaches out and they reconcile. The reconciliation doesn't last for long because in July 2019, Charles goes to pick up JJ from Lori. Remember, they both adopted him. Like, they both have custody. And while this is happening, Charles gets into a fight with Lori's brother, Alex. And then suddenly, Charles ends up dead. There's also a body cam video of this, too. It's very, very strange. And one of the strongest pieces of evidence in how far gone Lori was. And Lori goes out to talk to the police and they ask her what happened. She sits there, arms folded, kind of just mouth off to the side, sunglasses on, looking bothered by police asking about the death of her husband. She just looks like this is an inconvenience to her. I believe that this happened because Lori believes everything that Chad has told her. She believes that what she's doing is righteous. She believes that this is what God wants, and these humans being confused doesn't matter. So we get this really nasty attitude from her, but eventually the police choke out what happened, and supposedly, Charles, who's literally never done anything wrong, came to pick up JJ, and something happened, and he attacked Lori. He came after her, and then her brother had to come out and shoot him. Claim it was self-defense, and the brother was just protecting his little sister from her evil husband. And they actually walk in and see Charles's body on the ground. He is dead. He has been shot multiple times. They call it as self-defense, and very quickly, over the next couple of weeks, the case is closed. But on that same day, Lori does a couple of strange things. One, she doesn't tell anybody for hours. She doesn't even call the police for quite a while. She goes to JJ's school to pick him up and tells everyone that Charles has just killed himself. That's what she says. That's what she tells people. Right after they have killed him, she goes and tells people that he took his own life. After Charles's death in July of 2019, things began to move very, very quickly. And everything really happens in August, because in August of 2019, Lori decided to relocate to a new home that just happened to be a lot closer to Chad Daybell. Then, on August 9th, 2019, Lori Vallow put JJ's fully trained service dog, Bailey, on sale for $2,500. Just a few days after Lori sent the email saying that JJ would not be returning for the school year, on September 8th, 2019, Lori, JJ, Kylie, and her brother Alex decide to take a trip to Yellowstone Park. No one knows exactly what happened on this Yellowstone trip, but I'm not going to leave this up to mystery. It's suspected later that Alex is basically the hitman for Lori Vallow, and that evidence will come up a little bit more later. It was presented through the evidence that Lori and Chad manipulated Alex, Lori's older brother, into killing people for them because they were never going to do it themselves. So, keeping that in mind, information that came from the trial later, on this date, September 8th, 2019, Lori, her brother, and the two children go to Yellowstone Park. After this, only Lori, JJ, and Alex come back home. Kylie, the daughter, is nowhere to be found. Lori will never say what happened on that day. Alex, the brother, will never say what happened on that day. But what we do know is just a few months later, Kylie's body was found in Chad Daybell's backyard. They killed her that day. Nobody knows how. We really don't know why. child at Yellowstone Park, as the prosecution argues, then that means that JJ was still alive, and they took Kylie's body and put it in the car with the boy, and they drove her back. That's what happened. So a lot of times when people talk about the Lori Vallow story, they do the part where they say, and then they went to Yellowstone Park, and Kylie never came back, and months later she was found in the backyard. I want you to know, like, what happened on this day. They killed a child and put her back in the car so that she could be buried at Chad's house while JJ was still probably in the car. So now, it has been less than a year since Lori and Chad have met, and Lori's husband is dead, and now Kylie is dead. Nobody can find her, but you and I know, because I'm telling you this story now that the case is pretty much closed. Kylie is dead. You're not going to believe what happens in October. And guess what? Neither did Tammy Daybell. On October 9th, 2019, Tammy Daybell, Chad's wife, calls 911 and reports that a man dressed in black clothing and a ski mask shot at her multiple times. That was on October 9th, 2019. That same person came back again, and this time, Tammy died. Exactly 10 days after Tammy reported an initial shooting and threat on her life, she was found dead in her home. The report said that she died peacefully in her sleep of natural causes. For some reason, maybe per the spouse's request, an autopsy was never performed. I find it very strange that an autopsy was never performed on a healthy 49-year-old woman who dies in her own home. Another weird thing that happens in the month of October. Lori ends up being very close to her niece. Her niece's name is Melanie. Keep in mind, it's different than her best friend named Melanie. This is Melanie with just an I, not an I-E. I know, I told you, if I use all the names, it gets very confusing. So, I'll reference her as the niece. Lori ends up getting very, very close with her niece. And, her niece is kind of leaning on her like, oh, cool, older auntie. But, then she starts to realize that her aunt is, a little weird and pretty religious and also a little delusional. But the reason why her niece was leaning on her was because her relationship was ending. Her niece was going through a very serious divorce. She was married to this guy named Brandon. They had a bad falling out. Brandon was very close to people in the Latter-day Saint Church. He actually was even the person that baptized Kylie into the LDS when she was 8 years old. So Lori is getting close with her niece, and her niece is divorcing this guy who was pretty close in the community. Well, this is so strange. When the niece starts venting about her ex-husband to Lori, somebody shows up and tries to kill the ex-husband. Lori told her that he had a pretty high dark energy rating, and next thing you know, somebody shot him when he was leaving home from the gym. The bullet shattered his window and missed his head by a couple of inches. But oh my God, something actually happened before October. It just kind of has had a huge question mark. JJ Vallow is nowhere to be seen. Remember, nobody has seen Kylie since early September when they went to Yellowstone. She is, as we know now, she's dead. Then, in early September, Lori emailed saying that JJ wouldn't be coming back to school and then sold his service dog for $2,500, by the way. And then he ends up missing in September as well. JJ would also later be found in Chad Daybell's backyard. So let me be super, super clear. These two met in October of 2018. By October of 2019, 4 people were dead. Charles Vallow, Lori Vallow's husband, Kylie, Lori's daughter, JJ, Lori's son, and Tammy Daybell, Chad's wife. After all of this darkness, we finally get a little bit of good news. In November 2019, because Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, who are both now widowed, decide to get married in beautiful Hawaii. What's interesting is this place in Hawaii was a very special place to Lori. It's a place that she used to go when she was a child. It's kind of like a safe space or a happy place for her. And she decided to share that with this man that she had known for just about a year. They didn't decide to just get married in this place. They were going to set up shop for a little bit. Chad sent an email to a realtor before they even got there that says, would the owners be interested in leasing this property to a clean couple with no pets or children? Mind you, the news, the church, the family and friends, they do not know that JJ and Kylie are now deceased. At this point, November 2019, the children are just missing. What I've told you is what kind of happens later when the bodies are discovered, but I'm telling you the story from the point of view of a timeline. They get married in 2019, and nobody knows where the children are. All they see are Lori and Chad smiling on the beach taking engagement photos. Now, they were married on November 5th, 2019. Tammy Daybell was murdered October 19th, 2019. They got married just 2 weeks after Chad's wife died. And 3 weeks prior to Tammy's death, Lori Vallow bought her own wedding ring off of Amazon, which can actually be seen in the photos. Not only did Lori buy her own wedding ring, but she bought it 3 weeks before Chad's wife was murdered. Now, the pastor is not the only person at this wedding handing out blessings. Chad is also handing out blessings. Why is that? Because Chad has an ego and he thinks that he has some kind of spiritual gifts of the highest order. And I need you to picture this. Lori and Chad sitting on a beach in marital bliss with their names and looking spiritual and powerful like they had accomplished something. Okay, that's the scene. This is what Chad said to Alex, Lori's brother. He said Alex had assisted him in ways that can, quote, never be repaid. Chad then called Alex a prophet and a hero, and predicted that he would have a future as the messenger of the Lord. Chad is manipulating people using spirituality. So in this case, he's literally telling Alex, thank you so much for doing that really bad thing. I can literally never repay you, but I will call it a favor to God and ask him to make you a messenger, a spiritual messenger, and make you important. Okay, cool. Like, as though Chad has that type of fucking power, but he's preying on Lori's spirituality and also Alex's spirituality. I mean, Alex isn't as delusional as Lori, but he is her brother, and he was also up in that church 5 days a week in the morning. God is very important to them, and Chad is saying that he is a spiritual figure that is connected directly to God, and they are listening.
I can use that.
Also, I don't know if I told you this, but there's so many details in this case, and I try to keep it to what helps you follow the story, but look, this is a big one too. Chad Daybell arranged Alex's marriage. Alex was married to this woman for not very long, but Chad actually picked Alex's wife. He said, yes, I think this woman will serve you. And guess who Chad picked? A woman that worshipped him. So Chad hooked up Lori's brother, aka his hitman, with a woman that worshipped Chad. So, this is so complicated. Okay. So, anyways, while Chad is on the beach spewing this bullshit to Lori's brother, guess who's back home calling the police? The kid's grandma, Lori's mom. Remember I told you about her Janice, the super religious lady that likes to look nice? Well, the children have been missing for a very long time now, and so finally, the grandma calls the police and says, I can't find Lori's children, and she won't tell me where they are.
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and go eat. I finished most of my chores. My
Lori, the first thing she does is she calls up Melanie.
blankies are in the dryer, so I'll just eat some food while I wait for that to dry, and I might see you guys later. Have a good night.
Little out there, but she's not a liar. She's not going to lie about missing children, so she doesn't, and she's not going to. The police demand that Lori Vallow produces her children